The Mughal Empire is a well-known phase in the history of the Indian subcontinent. The previous few episodes explained how Babur, a Central Asian king of Timurid dynasty, managed to establish a foothold in northern India. Babur had to deal with stiff challenge from various Indian powers, and he was engaged in relentless campaigns for around half a decade. Despite securing their position, the Mughal future in the Indian subcontinent was subjected to uncertainty after Babur's death in 1530. Babur was succeeded by his eldest son Humayun. Despite being a confident and capable king, Humayun did not command the supreme authority over the Mughal officers and generals that his father did. The Mughal conflicts with other Indian powers only complicated matters as Humayun struggled relentlessly in some of his campaigns. Humayun emerged triumphant over the Sultanate of Gujarat, but the Mughals lost Gujarat soon after occupying the region. The Eastern Afghan Confederacy challenged the Mughals relentlessly. Though initially victorious, Humayun was soon defeated twice by the excellent Afghan leader Sher Shah Suri and escaped to Punjab after conceding most of the subcontinent to the Afghan king. Providing a background of Sher Shah would lead to a better understanding of the circumstances that led to the fall of the Mughal fortunes in the Indian subcontinent. Tariq-e-Sher Shahi was the biography of Emperor Sher Shah Suri that has been used as a primary reference during the preparation of this video documentary. For a man who attained the greatest heights in the medieval Indian history, Sher Shah Suri came from a rather humble background. The hero of the Afghan revival in the Indian subcontinent was born around 1486 AD. His ancestors came from Afghan or Pashtun ethnic origins and hailed from around Peshawar, that is located near the modern-day border of Pakistan and Afghanistan. His grandfather and father had been taken into the service of the Delhi-based Lodi Empire. At the time of his birth, Sher Shah's father, Hasan Khan, was the Jagirdar of the regions of Sasaram, Khawaspur, and Tanda in the province of Bihar. Sher Shah was born as Farid Khan, and he was the eldest son of the Jagirdar. The Jagirdar was the ruler of a region called Jagir, that is equivalent to modern-day district or county. He would act as the representative of the king, which at that point of time was Sultan Bahlol Lodi, the founder of the Lodi Empire. Several Jagirs would constitute a Mansab, governed by a Mansabdar as the king's representative. Several Mansabs would make up a province or Subah under the control of a Subedar. The next higher authority would be the king or the emperor himself. When Farid Khan was just 3 years old, there was a change of sovereigns in the Lodi Empire. Sultan Bahlol Lodi died of old age in 1489, and he was succeeded by his son Sikandar Lodi. This change of kings did not change the power structure or the administration system of the Lodi Empire. Farid's father, Hassan Khan, remained the Jagirdar of the three regions in Bihar and enjoyed a fluent lifestyle. Farid Khan spent his childhood at Sasaram. Farid and Nizam Khan were Jagirdar Hassan Khan's sons from his first wife. But it was Hassan Khan's youngest wife who held the strongest influence over him. Suleiman and Ahmed Khan were the sons born to the youngest wife of Hassan Khan. Disgusted over the internal problems in his family, Farid Khan left his father's home when he was around 20 years old. Farid went to Jaunpur, which in those days was a renowned city well known as an Islamic learning center, in addition to its cultural importance. Jaunpur was then known as the Rome of the Indian subcontinent. In Jaunpur, Farid Khan devoted himself to the learning of Persian language and literature. He committed to his memory various historical works in Persian sources, including the Persian conquest of Alexander the Great. After few years, the Jagirdar of Jaunpur named Jamal Khan facilitated a reconciliation between Farid Khan and his father Hassan Khan. Hassan Khan was persuaded to appoint the young Farid Khan as the manager of his Jagir at Sasaram. Farid Khan returned to Sasaram and committed himself to the administration of the Jagir. During this time, he brought the disobedient zamindars or the landowners under control. Farid established a fair and justified revenue settlement system that took into consideration the quantity and classification of soil, in addition to the actual productivity of the land. Farid looked well after the interests of the farmers and delivered even-handed justice. He managed to keep the harsh soldiers and oppressive revenue collectors in their limits. Overall, Farid Khan created a classic and well-balanced example of Jagir administration. While there was a change of kings in the Lodi Empire. Sultan Sikandar Lodi was succeeded by his son Ibrahim Lodi in 1517. Meanwhile, an intense disagreement had developed in Farid's family. Farid Khan had again fallen out with his father. Farid went to Delhi and petitioned Sultan Ibrahim Lodi to transfer his father's Jagir to him. His request, however, was declined. Farid Khan did not have to wait for long. His father, Hassan Khan, died soon after. Sultan Ibrahim Lodi, without hesitation, granted Farid the Jagirs of Sasaram, Khawaspur, and Tanda. This happened around 1521. Farid returned with the Farman or imperial order and he took possession of his Jagir. Farid controlled the administration peacefully for some time. But his happy days would not last for long. Farid's stepbrother Suleiman went to the powerful Mansabdar of Bihar, and he managed to poison his mind against Farid Khan. Suleiman was promised help against Farid. Sensing danger, Farid Khan decided to move away from his Jagir. He decided to join the service of the king of South Bihar, Sultan Beher Khan Lohani. The kingdom of South Bihar had declared independence from the Lodi Empire in around 1521. Farid displayed talent and confidence that won him the admiration of the king of South Bihar. It is said that once in a hunting trip with the Sultan, Farid Khan killed a tiger single-handedly, which earned him the title of Sher Khan. Although this account might sound like an exaggeration, it is beyond doubt that Farid displayed extremely high levels of courage. He would since be known as Sher Khan. Sher Khan was eventually awarded with a promotion for his excellent administrative abilities. He was appointed as the Atalik, or tutor, to the son of the king, named Jalal Lohani, who was around 7 years old at that point of time. However, Sher Khan's prosperity in the Lohani court was short-lived. His rapid rise in prestige had aroused jealousy among the Lohani nobles and officers. When Sher Khan was away from the Lohani court in 1527 to meet his family, they found their opportunity. The jealous Lohani nobles managed to poison the mind of the Sultan, and Sher Khan was dismissed from his position. This would make Sher Khan virtually homeless. Sher Khan's only hope to prosperity now was to join the service of Mughal Emperor Babur. It may be noted that by the middle of 1527, the Mughals had defeated the Delhi-based Lodi Empire and also the powerful Rajput Confederacy that allowed them to firmly establish themselves in northern India. Hoping to find employment in the Mughal government, Sher Khan went over to Junaid Barlas, who was the Mughal governor of Kara and Manikpur, that is located in modern-day Uttar Pradesh. Sher Khan received a favorable response, and he was admitted into the Mughal service in the middle of 1527. Babur's expansionist ambitions would lead to several Mughal campaigns in the various parts of the subcontinent. Some of those saw the involvement of Sher Khan. Sher Khan particularly distinguished himself in the Battle of Chanderi, that took place in central India in early 1528. Sher Khan won the admiration of the Mughal Emperor himself, who granted him back the control of Sasaram and his other former Jagirs after being impressed by his performance. However, Sher Khan's tenure in Mughal service would soon come to an end. He had some altercations with fellow Mughal officers, and he decided to quit Mughal service in the middle of 1528. By this point, Sher Khan had seen enough of the Mughals to have a good measure of their strengths and weaknesses. The Sultan of South Bihar, Beher Khan Lohani, had realized his past mistake of dismissing Sher Khan. He invited Sher Khan back to his court and again appointed him the tutor of his young son. By a sudden twist of fate in early 1529, Sultan Beher Khan Lohani died of illness. His widow, at the advice of the Lohani nobles, declared her 9-year-old son Jalal Lohani to be the new king of South Bihar, while deciding to herself act as the regent of the child sultan. The queen, who was the mother of the boy king, had immense confidence on the administrative and military abilities of Sher Khan. So she appointed Sher Khan as the deputy ruler of South Bihar, next only to the boy king and herself. In her opinion, if anyone could possibly restore the stability of the kingdom of South Bihar, it was none other than Sher Khan. Sher Khan happily accepted this remarkable promotion. He committed himself to the administrative and military reorganization of the kingdom. Sher Khan focused on maintaining friendly relations with the neighboring kingdoms and avoided warfare as much as possible. This policy had the positive effect of improving the political and economic situation of the Kingdom of South Bihar. The peace in the eastern part of the Indian subcontinent was soon threatened in 1529. Hostilities broke out between the Mughals and some of the Eastern Indian powers, which culminated in the Battle of Ghagra in the month of May 1529. Sher Khan was forced to lead the army of South Bihar into this battle, as he was officially collaborating with the Afghan leaders of Eastern India, who saw this battle as an occasion to attempt an Afghan resurgence in the subcontinent. However, Sher Khan's participation in this enterprise was only half-hearted, and he was restored to the position of the virtual Mughal governor of South Bihar after he submitted to Emperor Babur. Sher Khan's prudent decision helped to save the kingdom of South Bihar from a near certain destruction, while some of the other Eastern Indian kingdoms suffered huge losses at the hands of the powerful Mughal army. The mother of the boy king died in 1530. This meant that Sher Khan would be the virtual leader of South Bihar, while the 10-year-old Jalal Lohani would continue as the nominal ruler. The eastern neighbor of South Bihar was the Sultanate of Bengal, which was a powerful kingdom. Its ruler Nusrat Shah saw this as an opportunity, and the Bengal army attacked South Bihar in the middle of 1530. Sher Khan organized the Lohani army of South Bihar and prepared for war. He used good defensive tactics while launching sudden small-scale attacks in opportune moments to disrupt the enemy supply lines. Not able to make inroads into South Bihar, the frustrated Bengali army had to withdraw eventually. This victory over the powerful enemy did raise Sher Khan's reputation to the greatest heights. In addition to his previously proven administrative abilities, he had now established his military genius. This, however, did not go down too well with the Lohani nobles at the court of South Bihar. The jealous nobles were not very comfortable with the idea of submitting entirely to the authority of someone whom they had previously perceived as a mere servant to their king. The discontented Lohani nobles started conspiring against Sher Khan. Sher Khan tried reconciliation by offering to share power with the Lohani nobility. However, the conspirators would be satisfied with nothing less than the complete destruction of Sher Khan. The conspiring Lohani nobles won over the boy king Jalal Lohani by convincing him that Sher Khan was planning to usurp his throne. They went over with the boy king to the Sultanate of Bengal, expecting to find help against Sher Khan. This event would later have a major role to play. The absence of the king Jalal Lohani made Sher Khan the virtual ruler of South Bihar. But he was happy with the status of a leader. Sher Khan avoided taking up royal titles and satisfied himself with the lower designation of Hazrat-e-Ala. Around this time, a major development took place in the Indian subcontinent. Mughal Emperor Babur died of illness in the December of 1530. He was succeeded by his eldest son Humayun, and the change of kings would lead to internal problems in the empire. Chunar was a strategic location in the western border of Bihar. Around 1532, the Afghan governor of Fort Chunar, namely Taj Khan, died before his time. His childless widow, Lad Malika, sought the hand of Sher Khan in marriage. Sher Khan conveyed his agreement without delay. The marriage to Lad Malika gave Sher Khan control of the strong fort of Chunar. He was also provided access to the vast amount of treasure buried in the fort. This enhanced the power of Sher Khan greatly, and he started holding aspirations of becoming an independent king with royal status in the future. However, the subcontinent would soon be in the grip of intense warfare. The Afghan leaders in eastern India were making military preparations and desired to lock horns with the powerful Mughals. They invited Sher Khan to join their cause. Sher Khan did not intend to get caught up in the upcoming war. He politely refused. The Afghan powers involved in the project moved their army to the west in the middle of 1532. The Afghan army soon reached Jaunpur and captured the Mughal post in the city. The Afghans advanced further and captured regions up to as far as Lucknow. Mughal Emperor Humayun was campaigning in central India. After hearing of the Afghan offensive, he had to hasten back with his army to fight the Afghans. The Mughals clashed with the Afghan army near Lucknow in the August of 1532. Humayun emerged victorious, and the Afghans had to withdraw to the east. The Mughal troops desired to move further east into Bihar. However, Humayun was dissuaded by the Sultanate of Gujarat that threatened the southern border of the Mughal Empire. Following Humayun's departure to Agra, Sher Khan's control over South Bihar was secured. Meanwhile, boy King Jalal Lohani and the conspiring Lohani nobles were given shelter at Gaur, the capital of the Sultanate of Bengal. By the way, Bengal had experienced change of kings in 1533. The new Sultan Ghiyasuddin Mahmud Shah was seeking territorial gains at the expense of South Bihar. The Bengal Sultan dispatched a huge army under the command of experienced General Ibrahim Khan. He was given the objective of invading South Bihar and bringing Sher Khan down to his knees. The Bengali army reached the Bihar border in early 1534. It met the troops led by Sher Khan near the city of Munger in a military engagement that would come to be called as the Battle of Surajgarh. Sher Khan, in the year before, had enlisted the service of additional troops in his army that would enable him to fight on even terms, as his forces were numerically comparable to that of his enemy. Sher Khan planned to trick the Bengali general. He kept around half of his troops hidden under the forest cover located nearby. This made it appear that the Bengali army could overwhelm their enemy by sheer numbers. The Bengali general, confident of victory, ordered a division to charge at the enemy, hoping to find a breakthrough. Sher Khan's troops defended valiantly, keeping the Bengali army at bay with careful use of artillery. The Bengal general decided to exert greater pressure on Sher Khan. He ordered nearly the entirety of his army to move forward, leaving his camps thinly guarded. At this point, Sher Khan played his masterstroke. He committed the hidden component of his army to a sudden attack on the enemy camp. Few soldiers were guarding the Bengali camp. They ran for their lives at the mere approach of the overwhelmingly large enemy troops. News of their camp being captured by the enemy reached the Bengali commanders. This would mean that they would be deprived of food and other essential supplies. Panic broke out in the Bengali ranks and they fled the battlefield. Sher Khan's troops emerged triumphant. They captured precious resources of their defeated enemy. Vast amount of treasure, elephants, and Bengali artillery fell into the hands of Sher Khan. Much of the escaping Bengali infantry was destroyed by the pursuing Afghan troops. The victory at Surajgarh would later prove to be the turning point in the career of Sher Khan. He made large territorial gains, besides a massive rise in wealth, resources, and reputation. The strength of the Sultanate of Bengal was greatly diminished, and it could no longer afford an invasion of South Bihar. The years 1535 and 1536 witnessed the Mughals being at war with the Sultanate of Gujarat. This relaxed the pressure on the western border of Sher Khan. He launched repeated small-scale offensives into the Sultanate of Bengal with decent success. In 1536, Sher Khan planned a major invasion of Bengal. Aware of the upcoming danger, Bengal Sultan Ghiyasuddin Mahmud Shah was desperately looking for allies. The Portuguese by this point had established factories, forts, and trading posts in Bengal and in various parts of the Indian subcontinent. Bengal Sultan Ghiyasuddin Mahmud Shah applied for help from the Portuguese in Bengal. The Portuguese agreed. The Bengali army and the Portuguese troops took up defensive positions at the passes of Teliagarhi and Sikrigali respectively. They waited for Sher Khan's army to advance. Sher Khan was aware of the defensive plans of his enemies. He cleverly worked his way with his army around the two passes and reached the vicinity of the Bengali capital of Gaur. That was thinly defended by the Bengali troops. Bengal Sultan Ghiyasuddin Mahmud Shah realized that he was outsmarted by Sher Khan. He now had no choice but to try peace negotiations. The Sultanate of Bengal was granted temporary respite from the Afghan attack by surrendering gold worth 1,000,000 rupees and by agreeing to pay as much wealth every year as an annual tribute. In the next year, 1537, Sher Khan prepared to attack the Sultanate of Bengal again, on the pretext of not having received the annual tribute that was promised to him. This time, the Bengal Sultan Ghiyasuddin Mahmud Shah had no choice but to appeal to Mughal Emperor Humayun for help. Sher Khan had sent a large body of Afghan troops under the command of his son Jalal Khan and experienced general Khawas Khan. They were instructed to capture the Bengali capital of Gaur in quick time, as the Mughals were likely to arrive at Bengal with a massive army. Other Afghan divisions were sent to take control of crucial Bengal regions like Chittagong. Mughal Emperor Humayun decided to lead his army to Bengal to try and claim the province for the Mughals. Humayun left Agra in the middle of 1537 with his huge army and marched towards Bengal. On the way, he stopped at the fort of Chunar and decided to attempt capturing the strategic fort. Meanwhile, Afghan forces under Jalal Khan and Khawaz Khan had captured much Bengali territory and laid siege to the Bengali capital of Gaur in late 1537. Sher Khan also captured the strong fort of Rohtas that is located in eastern Bihar. The fort was captured in early 1538. Back at Fort Chunar, the Afghan garrison left behind by Sher Khan put up a valiant resistance against the mighty Mughal army. Sher Khan's second son Qutb Khan and Afghan general Ghazi Khan led a strong Afghan defense. However, the fort fell to the Mughals after 5 months of determined resistance. Humayun had lost precious time at the siege of the Fort Chunar. News reached him that Bengal was nearly captured by the Afghans. So he moved to Benares and opened peace negotiations with Sher Khan. Sher Khan was offered Bengal as a Mughal vassal, provided he would give up Bihar to Humayun. A peace settlement looked like a matter of time. Until this point, Sher Khan would be satisfied being the ruler of Bengal or Bihar, or possibly both. However, things would take a dramatic turn when Humayun decided to break off peace negotiations and advance with his army towards Bengal. By that point, the Afghan troops had captured the Bengali capital of Gaur in the middle of 1538. And they had moved the Bengali royal treasury to Fort Rohtas, located in Bihar, in very quick time. Under Sher Khan's instructions, the Afghan army evacuated Bengal and moved back to Bihar. Humayun reached Bengal unopposed with his Mughal army. Sher Khan held a meeting with the Afghan generals. He explained the failure of the Afghan-Mughal peace treaty as a breach on the part of the Mughals. He stated that the Mughals were keen to bring about the complete destruction of the Afghan race. The Afghan officers and generals were convinced that it was now time to fight to the bitter end for the sake of the preservation of the Afghan existence in the Indian subcontinent. They assured that they would stand by Sher Khan in this critical hour of crisis. As soon as Humayun entered Bengal, Sher Khan made his move. Sher Khan planned to cut off Humayun's line of communication to his base of Delhi and Agra. Afghan troops were sent to attack the Mughal posts located to the west of Bengal, like Jaunpur, Benares, and Kalpi. Sher Khan's plan was executed with tremendous success. The Mughal posts were captured. A large region to the west of Bengal fell into the hands of Sher Khan. Arrangements were made to set up Afghan administration in those regions. Meanwhile, Humayun's brother Hindal Mirza declared himself the Mughal emperor at Agra. This would lead to internal problems among the Mughals. The entire Mughal administration in North India fell into confusion. This news of Hindal's rebellion and Afghan capture of some Mughal regions reached Humayun in late 1538. He had no choice but to move back to the west to safeguard his throne. Leaving behind a small body of Mughal troops to hold Bengal, Humayun started his march back towards the west with his main army in early 1539. The Mughal army reached Chausa, where the main Afghan army was positioned. The two armies stood facing each other for 3 months. Sher Khan agreed for peace talks with Humayun. His real intention was to delay the battle till the arrival of monsoon. That would compel the Mughals to fight at a disadvantage. The ongoing peace talks made the Mughal army relax their preparations. In the June of 1539, Sher Khan launched a surprise night attack at the Mughal camp. The unprepared Mughal army was completely routed. The Mughals abandoned everything and ran for their lives. Their emperor Humayun barely escaped capture. Many of the Mughal royal ladies were captured by the Afghan army, including Humayun's chief queen Bega Begum. They were later returned back to Agra with dignity. Sher Khan seized huge amount of Mughal wealth following this victory. In a single bow stroke, he had gained vast amount of territory in addition to a rapid rise in fortune and reputation. It was now even possible for him to claim the position of emperor. Sher Khan now developed the ambition of driving the Mughals away from the Indian subcontinent. That might have given him an opportunity to occupy the throne of Delhi. Sher Khan for the moment occupied regions to the other side of the river Ganges up to as far as Kannauj in the west. He consolidated the Afghan administration in the newly found regions and converted those into a compact kingdom. The victory at Chausa made Sher Khan a virtual ruler of Bihar and Bengal. In addition to the newly found regions in the west. Despite all his massive gains, Sher Khan was still a private general with no royal status. To declare himself a ruler, he would have to go through the formality of a coronation ceremony. That would make him a king in real and official sense. However, there were possible obstacles to his coronation. Sher Khan had been betrayed by the Afghan nobles in the past on multiple occasions. Being well aware of the democratic nature of the Afghan hierarchical structure, Sher Khan decided to proceed rather cautiously. He cleverly induced the Afghan nobility to suggest that Sher Khan should assume the royal status. So, in late 1539, the coronation ceremony of Sher Khan was conducted with simplicity. Sher Khan was seated on the throne and had a royal umbrella held over his head. He assumed the regnal title of Sher Shah Suri. Coins were struck in his name for the very first time. Khutbah or prayers were read in the name of the new king. To secure the control of Bengal, Sher Shah sent large Afghan troops. The Afghan troops overwhelmed the small Mughal garrison left behind by Humayun, and claimed Bengal for the Afghans. Sher Shah appointed Afghan governors in various provinces to establish firm order in his new kingdom. Sher Shah wished to further weaken the Mughal power in the Indian subcontinent. So, he dispatched a large body of Afghan troops under the command of his second son Qutb Khan. They were instructed to form an alliance with the Sultanate of Malwa in central India. After joining forces, they would then put pressure on the southern border of the Mughal Empire. However, the Sultanate of Malwa decided to remain neutral in this Mughal-Afghan conflict. The Afghan army had to face the mighty Mughal army all alone. The military engagement took place in Kalpi, near the modern-day Kanpur. Heavily outnumbered, the Afghan army was defeated. Their leader Qutb Khan was killed, and the Afghans had to withdraw to the east. Back at Agra, Humayun managed to reconcile with his rebellious brother Hindal. However, Humayun failed to secure the obedience of his other brother Kamran Mirza, who was the ruler of Afghanistan and Punjab. With his brothers Hindal and Askari, Humayun marched to the east with his army in early 1540 to stop the forces of Sher Shah, who was rapidly advancing towards Agra. The two armies encamped at Kannauj and stood facing each other for a month. The armies had comparable numerical strength, with Humayun enjoying slightly higher numbers. Humayun had crossed the Ganges, believing it could give him a geographical advantage. However, the 15th of May was the day of torrential rains that swamped the Mughal camp. So the Mughals decided to shift their camp to a nearby location, which was a higher ground. On the 17th of May, the Mughals prepared to relocate their camp. However, Sher Shah had been informed of this plan beforehand. So, he ordered the Afghan army for a sudden attack in the morning. The Mughals were forced to make hurried preparations for the battle. The center was commanded by Emperor Humayun himself. His brother Hindal Mirza was in charge of the Mughal left wing. His right wing was under the command of the emperor's cousin Yadgar Nasir Mirza. Humayun's other brother Askari Mirza held command of the Mughal advance division. The Mughals, however, were deprived of their field cannons, as the guns could not be dragged into positions due to the watery ground and the lack of adequate preparation time. The Afghan army was divided into 6 divisions. Sher Shah commanded the Afghan center, that was protected by a trench to prevent the enemy from breaking through. The Afghan advance division was led by Sher Shah's son Jalal Khan. The battle commenced when the Mughal left wing came under attack from the Afghan advance cavalry division. The Mughal left, led by Hindal Mirza, managed to hold their ground and even inflicted some damage on the enemy. Sher Shah responded by sending reinforcements and also launched offensive on the Mughal advance division. The Mughal advance division under Askari Mirza failed to stand this sudden assault. His division was soon routed. The setback struck terror in the minds of all the Mughal soldiers. Panic broke out, and the Mughal army started escaping and ran for their lives. Humayun tried hard to rally them into position, but in vain. Left with no choice, Humayun had to retreat towards Agra with his trusted followers. Most of the escaping Mughal army were disoriented and failed to mobilize. Victorious at Kannauj, Sher Shah dispatched his general Barmazid Gaur with a large body of Afghan troops to pursue Humayun. Other Afghan divisions were sent to capture regions to the west of the Ganges, like Gwalior and Sambhal. Humayun soon escaped from Agra. Hearing of the approach of the Afghan army, Sher Shah occupied Agra and sent his general Khawas Khan with a large body of Afghan army to carry on the pursuit of Humayun. They were given the objective of either destroying the Mughals or to drive them out of the Indian subcontinent. Humayun reached Lahore around the August of 1540. He tried but failed to unite his brothers against the growing Afghan threat. Meanwhile, Sher Shah had established his government in northern India that would come to be called as the Suri Empire. Finally, Humayun realized that it was not a good idea to stick around. He left Lahore in the November of 1540 and crossed the river Jhelum. This was the very river whose banks had witnessed Alexander the Great's Macedonian army defeat the troops of Indian king Porus in the famous Battle of Hydaspes in 326 BC. The Afghan troops gave up their pursuit at this point. Humayun escaped towards Sindh in modern-day Karachi. The Mughals have been reduced to a miserable position, while Sher Shah had made himself the new emperor of most of the Indian subcontinent. Will Humayun be able to restore his fortunes? Will Sher Shah Suri prove to be an efficient ruler in the Indian subcontinent? Will Sher Shah Suri get into conflict with other Indian powers? You can find out by watching the next episode of this documentary series. Thank you for watching.